Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. The question we had this morning, did these two ladies go rogue on that final play? Was this play actually drawn up for Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham said, I think I'll make a different decision with the basketball? Was this play drawn up to get Kelsey Mitchell the game-winning shot so Stephanie White can...
In the final moments, the ball slipped from Sophie Cunningham's fingertips and sailed toward the perimeter with only 2.4 seconds remaining on the clock. But before revealing where that crucial pass ended up, it's important to know that this sequence almost never unfolded the way it did. The play originally sketched out on the coach's clipboard was designed for an entirely different player. What happened next was pure instinct and split-second adaptation in the heat of competition. The Indiana Fever had put themselves in a dangerous position after letting a 17-point advantage disappear. With the score level and time rapidly running out, head coach Stephanie White desperately needed something special to prevent what would have been a heartbreaking collapse. Every fan inside the arena knew exactly who the moment was calling for.
Knew who should take the final shot, but the coaching staff apparently had a very different plan.
Kelly is the one that drew up the play. Austin Kelly is the one that's been drawing up all of these out-of-bounds plays after timeouts. The one that got Caitlin Clark the game-tying three against the Mystics, he drew that up. The Aaliyah Boston wide-open midi that she bricked, he drew that up. This play right here, he drew it up. Fortunately for us, his play design pretty good. So if the first option is not there and the second option is not there...
To fully understand the significance of that final possession, you have to examine the tactical groundwork that led to it. Assistant coach Austin Kelly has long been the driving force behind the team's late-game inbound strategies. Earlier this season, he crafted an exceptional out-of-bounds play that freed Caitlin Clark for a game-tying three-pointer against Washington, showcasing precise spacing, well-timed flare screens, and deceptive movement that have become trademarks of his approach. Kelly understands how to exploit defensive tendencies by turning the inbound passer into an active scoring threat rather than a simple facilitator. That proven track record is exactly why the Indiana Fever placed their confidence in him during this critical timeout. Yet believing in a coach's game plan and executing it flawlessly against an aggressive, switching defense are two entirely different challenges. The intensity of the moment changes everything, and the pressure surrounding this team had already reached a breaking point before the official even handed over the basketball. The stress on the sideline was impossible to ignore. Earlier in the game, Caitlin Clark stood near the scorer's table prepared to re-enter, clearly eager to halt the opposing momentum, only for Stephanie White to instruct her to remain on the bench. Clark's disappointment was evident as she turned away and returned to her seat, creating the appearance of growing tension between a coach determined to maintain authority and a superstar eager to seize control of the game. When a team sidelines its most dynamic offensive player while watching a sizable lead disappear, the emotional stakes rise dramatically. That underlying friction provides crucial context for the decisive moments that followed. As the players stepped back onto court, they carried the frustration of missed opportunities, the fatigue of stagnant offensive possessions, and the overwhelming determination to take control of their own destiny before time ran out.
Final play, folks. We got the inbound from Sophie to Caitlin Clark. Now, many people are thinking this is supposed to be right here. Give it to Kelsey Mitchell right here. She's going to get it going downhill. Tries to get a nice pull-up midi or taking it.
Everything comes down to the final 2.4 seconds. The Indiana Fever need one last basket to escape with the victory. As Sophie Cunningham steps out of bounds to initiate the play, every movement on the floor suddenly becomes critical. Watch Kelsey Mitchell's initial action closely as she bursts toward the perimeter with purpose. From the way the formation develops, it appears obvious that she is the first option. The set seems specifically designed to get Mitchell attacking downhill, giving her the chance to pull up for a jumper or glide into the lane for a soft floater at the rim. Aaliyah Boston is perfectly positioned to deliver the key screen needed to shake Mitchell free from her defender. Every player involved executes the action as though Mitchell is the intended recipient of the inbound pass, and the defense responds exactly as expected. But on the weak side of the floor, everything begins to unravel. A defensive breakdown unfolds in an instant as two defenders, expected to complete a routine switch, fail to communicate. Rather than exchanging assignments, both defenders are drawn toward the decoy movement and follow Lexie Hull. Suddenly, a huge opening appears along the perimeter. Sophie Cunningham immediately recognizes that Mitchell's passing window has vanished amid congestion. At the same time, she identifies a defensive mistake developing on the wing. In that split second, she moves away from the original play design and trusts what she sees. Cunningham fires a pinpoint pass over the scrambling defenders. The ball reaches Caitlin Clark, standing completely unguarded beyond the arc. Without a moment of doubt, Clark received the pass in perfect rhythm, sets her feet, and rises into her shooting motion. Her mechanics are flawless, and the release comes with incredible speed. The shot arcs high above the desperate contest from the recovering defense. The rotation is pure. The ball splashes through net as the buzzer echoes throughout the arena. Game over. Indiana escapes with a dramatic victory.
First option is when Lexie Hull comes on the radio and says the last play was not exactly what was drawn up. If that wasn't exactly what was drawn up, then what was the initial play design? What was the first op? It had to be Kelsey Mitchell. If that was right, if getting Caitlin Clark a wide open three isn't exactly what was drawn up.
This is where the story takes an even more intriguing turn. That unforgettable game-winning sequence wasn't simply the result of brilliant coaching execution. It appeared to be born from instinct and on-court decision-making. In a radio interview after the game, Lexie Hull acknowledged that the final possession did unfold exactly the way it had been drawn up. Consider the significance of that admission. If the original objective wasn't to create an open look for a franchise star, then it strongly suggests that Kelsey Mitchell was expected to be the primary option regardless of how the defense reacted. Instead, Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark processed the situation in real time, identified the failed switch, and adjusted accordingly. They moved away from the scripted action and relied on their basketball awareness to exploit the opportunity that had suddenly emerged. Rather than forcing the predetermined play, they chose the most effective option available in that critical moment. There are even subtle hints of that spontaneity in the celebration that followed. As Caitlin Clark walked off the court, she flashed a confident, "You can't see me," gesture toward the opposition, and exchanged an energetic celebration with her teammates. Yet many observers noticed another detail. She appeared to pass by Stephanie White without any obvious acknowledgement. Instead, her attention shifted directly towards Sophie Cunningham. The smile they shared seemed to capture the satisfaction of two players who recognized the same opening, trusted each other's instincts, and delivered when everything was on the line. From that perspective, they weren't just executing a play. They were taking ownership of the biggest possession of the night and turning a potential collapse into a dramatic Indiana victory. The aftermath of that split-second decision carried directly into the post-game press conference. As Stephanie White addressed the media, questions quickly shifted toward the final possession and the play that secured the win. Rather than taking full ownership of the sequence, White pointed out that assistant coach Austin Kelly typically handles the design of late-game situations. Sitting beside a noticeably reserved Lexie Hull, the head coach maintained that the execution matched what the team had practiced and prepared for. However, the available evidence appears to tell a more complicated story. The reactions on the sideline, the comments made during post-game interviews, and the way the possession unfolded on the court have led many observers to believe that the players adjusted on the fly when the original action broke down. From that perspective, Indiana Stars didn't simply execute a set play. They recognized an opportunity and capitalized on it through instinct, awareness, and trust in one another. If that interpretation is accurate, it suggests a fever escape of victory because of elite talent, composure under pressure, and exceptional court vision rather than flawless adherence to the game plan. While that type of improvisation can produce unforgettable moments, relying on it consistently is not a sustainable formula for a franchise with championship ambitions. It also creates an important discussion moving forward. When players repeatedly demonstrate the ability to read situations better than the structure around them, how should a team balance coaching authority with player empowerment? As the Fever prepare for their next challenge, one question continues to dominate the conversation among fans and analysts alike. Who should truly steer this team's direction in the biggest moments? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Should Caitlin Clark be given greater control when the game is on the line? Or is maintaining the coaching hierarchy the better path for Indiana's long-term success?